ANC Secretary General Ace Magashule's lawyer says no arrest warrant has been issued for his client's arrest. This comes after reports that Magashule would be arrested by the Hawks today in connection with the Vrede dairy farm project in the Free State. This follows a number of recent high-profile arrests in the past week. Attorney Victor Nkwashu says he will write to all relevant authorities to ascertain the source of the rumours that the arrest of his client is imminent. For analysis, we're now joined via Zoom by Professor Hanyane from the Northwest University. A very good morning to you, Prof. What do you make of this development around rumours and fake news about the arrest, imminent arrest of ANC Secretary General Ace Magashule?
Well, a very good morning to you. Good morning to your SABC viewers. I think it speaks to a number of issues, and one of them is the political anxiety on the one hand, on the other, the political excitement that has been created following the spate of arrests lately. I think it speaks to overall the impatience that a lot of people have experienced in the light of all these to and fro investigations, which have not seen the light of any court of law. The Vrede issue, for instance, has been dragging for quite some time now, and surely there is this huge anticipation that it may very well have to be taken to a court of law. And a lot of people would like to see that happening sooner than later.
It's true that a lot of people would like to see the law play its part, law agencies play their part, but it's important to also stick to facts, isn't it?
No, absolutely. And this is what the NPA and other law enforcement agencies have been begging for patience in relation to investigations, to say, let the law take its course, not at the expense of theatrics, but rather presenting strong cases to courts to make sure that from a prosecutorial point of view, these cases should be handled well, much to the satisfaction of the justice system.
Yeah, we spoke to the Hawks spokesperson this morning who gave an assurance that they were not aware of any such warrants. Does this in a way...
I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised that's the position. What this, however, tells us is that public communications in government has not been well handled. And that's the sad part. If ever we need to reform this government in terms of process, in terms of procedure, one of the areas that needs to be strengthened is public communication. Thus far, it hasn't proved to be efficient nor reliable when it comes to pronouncing certain positions that government across the board would want to relay to the public.
So you reckon that even though there's an assurance that there isn't any imminent arrest, it doesn't mean there won't be any arrest in the future?
Well, Desiree, it doesn't mean that. What this does is that it tells us that our bureaucracy somewhat is weakened. What then needs to be done is to tighten the screws when it comes to issues of public communications and leave everything else to NPA, leave everything else to the Hawks. Let them sort their house in order so that they don't create such kind of mishap, if you want to call it that way. It really demonstrates the inefficiencies, unfortunately, and it's bad PR on the part of the Hawks. They need to really put their house in order so that we don't end up with such kind of issues, which in future, it's possible it might lead to counter litigation and it might prove costly on their side.
Absolutely. That's what I was thinking about, the counter litigation that could possibly come out of this. What is to happen now? What has been your sense since last week when we started seeing high-profile arrests and stories following up on that? Where, in terms of your assessment, is this story going?
Look, it seems one needs to look at the Hawks' strategy on fighting corruption and effecting arrests. My analysis is that the prima facie evidence that has been collected through spaces such as the Zondo Commission might want to be corroborated by further investigations on the part of SABC, on the part of the Hawks, on the part of the SIU. So far, indications are that the deal makers are likely to feel the wrath of those agencies first before the so-called big fish are targeted. And it seems to be a strategy that is beginning to take shape, creating a particular pattern to fight corruption. However, let's not throw away the fact that in this instance, there could be historical cases that needs attention. And of course, if you look at the NPA itself, it's still undergoing restructuring. It's still undergoing a process of rebuild. The morale there needs to be heightened as well. And of course, resources are needed. So all of these challenges will very well dictate the pace in which all these cases will have to be dealt with.
Is it problematic that the NPA is itself trying to capacitate itself at the same time as it's trying to deal with really high-profile cases?
No, it is, Desiree. And at a time when a number of high-profile, experienced persons resigned from that institution, it is not immune from the state capture phenomena itself. People have been purged. There has been resignations. There had been other challenges related to issues of integrity and confidence as well. Surely, let us appreciate the fact that it is a public institution that is facing a rebuild process in order to gain confidence, and yet cases keep on piling. So you have that. How can I put this? A situation where on the one hand, there's a challenge of resource, but on the other hand, there's the challenge of capacity. And the two might not necessarily be in tandem and to the advantage of the institution.
So in terms of South Africans following the story and the emergence of what seemingly now is fake news, what sort of trusted sources can South Africans depend on?
Well, I think each time we hear something that is somewhat strange, unusual, and it's likely to ignite an element of excitement, one would then have to verify. We live in the era of fake news, not only in South Africa, but globally. We can make a number of instances, be it in politics, be it in sports, be it in any sector of society. What is important at this stage in time is to say we have this issue that has been brought to the attention of society. How true is it? What measures can we put in place to test the veracity of anything that may come in the public space? It is the duty not only of you guys as journalists, but also mere ordinary folks in society to make sure that whatever we receive before it's distributed, it is subjected to test so that at the end of the day, the truth is established.
While we have you, let's just have a conversation about another development in the country. What do you make of the racial tensions that are playing out in the Free State in Senegal related to farm murders?
Well, a number of issues that do come to the fore here. I would have loved government to have been seen to be engaging the farming community. There seems to be a gap in terms of consultation, in terms of public engagement to find a common space between government on the one hand and on the other, the broader farming community, not only in the Free State, but elsewhere in the country. In Limpopo, not so long ago, we saw similar yet peaceful protests. So it's quite interesting that the Free State community took a somewhat different, emotionally charged, violent approach in this instance, resulting in the damage of public property, which I would argue very strongly it was unwarranted. A more peaceful, more engaging approach should have been used. Rightly so, farm matters cannot be accepted in a society that seeks democracy and peace and perfect order. Surely the whole strategy was somewhat misinformed, and it leads to more complications and challenges rather than finding a common solution between farmers, between workers, and of course, government that is involved in this instance.
It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for making the time.
Thank you so much.
Professor Hanyane is a professor at the University of the Northwest University.